Let's talk about learning. People learn a lot of things over the course of their life, from simple things like learning how to walk and talk, to more complex things like quantum physics, biology, and how to read my disgusting handwriting. Though some of these things can be learned through simple trial and error, and osmosis, the more complex a problem becomes, the more help you need in understanding it. At some point, you need to be taught how to do things. While the majority of you are probably having PTSD flashbacks to high school where bullies would pull your shirt over your head and shove you down the stairs, or some of you are still trapped in that nightmare, there are other things we need to be taught at some point in order to understand how to do them properly. For example, video games. Video games are a medium that tests multiple different skills and have found wide success across the world, but that doesn't mean they're easy to understand. Basically, every modern video game has some form of tutorial system that teaches the player what the buttons do, what the objective is, what's in your way, and what the game over state is. These tutorials can range from terrible to the best thing any human has ever coded, but we're not here to talk about how Bloodborne teaches you how to beat the entirety of it in its first area without any handholding. No, today we're going to be following up on something I said many, Jesus, it's been how long? Videos ago, where I talked about fighting game user experience. To cut a long story short, fighting games do a pretty shitty job at telling the player what they should be doing and why they should be doing it, along with being a pain in the ass to navigate around the menus with clunky UI elements and terrible lobby systems that make the game frustrating as hell to play. Also, somehow, not every AAA fighting game has good rollback yet. How is this possible? Like, fucking BB Tag is getting it soon. Like, what are you doing, Bandai Namco? Hello? Anyway, today I want to take a deep dive into tutorials specifically and look at the fucking awful ones in more detail because it's funny and shed some light on the better tutorials and bring up some cool features that have been added to games since the video came out. So, let's start at the bottom.
There is nothing about this whole scenario that doesn't make me so disgusted I want to violently vomit out my own internal organs.
Humor me for a second. Let's say that we're looking at a genre of games that's seen as pretty hard to get into, and there's 3 different tiers of these games. We have the indie darlings that are made by small teams on a small budget and generally don't have the manpower to make crazy animations or even afford voice lines. We have B-tier studios that are still big but generally make lesser known games that the hardcore fans tend to stand by. And finally, we have the big boys that everybody knows and that always bring in larger casual audiences. You would think that the larger games would spend more time making good tutorials so that the casual audience are able to begin playing with intentionality earlier, and the indie devs might have to cut the tutorial due to budget and time restraints. Or maybe they make it very simple because they know mostly the hardcore crowd will be the ones picking up the game initially. Yet somehow we have the fucking opposite happening here. Well, mostly. Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5 literally have the worst 2 tutorials in fighting games I have ever seen. Wait, no, in fact, I can't even say that, because Tekken 7 doesn't have a tutorial! What the fuck? Tekken 7 is one of the most knowledge-reliant fighting games out there currently. Not knowing what a character can and can't do can mean the difference between life and death in this game, and the game doesn't even bother to try and tell you anything. What's a homing move? What's a guard crush? Why is my character glowing red now? What's a rage drive? Do you even care, Bandai? Trying to get a new person into Tekken is like drawing blood from a stone. It's practically impossible unless you keep beating them over the head with it. Street Fighter 5 at least has a tutorial, but there's one major thing that the tutorial forgets to even teach his players how to do. This is future GekkoSquirrel telling you that I am a dumbass and didn't realize the Street Fighter tutorial teaches you how to block. I am sorry for being a moron. If you want to find out anything else, you have to go through 2 or 3 menus to find videos of the things you're looking for. Not actual gameplay segments, just videos of the things explaining how to do them. What the fuck? How am I supposed to know to go here? Why is it in video form? What the fuck? Capcom! Mortal Kombat 11 actually has a good tutorial system from the looks of it, but it being over 100 gigabytes in size and me writing this in my bed at 11:59 p.m. 2 days before the video is supposed to go live, I unfortunately cannot check this claim. You win this time, NetherRealm stands. Now this is the part where I would also say this applies to KOF 15. However, I was not given an early access code for this game despite asking extremely nicely, so I have no idea how good the tutorial is. I'm sorry that I was not able to abuse my FGC clout in order to get a free copy of something to wave in your guys' face, but I'm sure the game is fine. Probably. I have since played it, and it fits nicely into the next category, which is...
It looks fine.
Welcome to the Valley of Mediocrity, where the majority of our games sit. Games in this section meet the bare minimum, and maybe sometimes have one cool thing that stands out from the rest of the pack, but that's about it. Back in ye olden days, when the only way to play these games was to go to your local arcade, a good way to do the tutorial was to show the player what the buttons do and what unique mechanics are before they go into a single player match. SNK were well known for this. Their old games had good ways of teaching you the base mechanics that you need to know before throwing you into the game. They had little videos like this. It's very nice. Like, look at it. It teaches you the buttons, the game's unique mechanics, shows Terry and Rock fighting a little bit. It's nice and it's cool. These kind of tutorials came about due to limitations in technology. It wasn't really feasible to put a training mode into your arcade board, but you still wanted players to understand what the buttons were that they were mashing, and give them some sort of ground to stand on instead of just throwing them in the deep end. And no, before anyone says anything, the current hit platform fighter that has this is not okay. It is in the shit tier. Times have changed, old man. But once the games were being ported to home consoles, suddenly they had much more space for things like training and expanded single-player modes. So, we can begin to add basic tutorials. And by basic, I mean they show you how to attack, jump, block, do specials, supers, and basic game mechanics. Wow, how cool! It gives you the information on how to play the game, and that's about it. So cool. Thanks, game. Yeah, it's like a passing grade. It's like a D. Congrats, you did the bare minimum to teach your players. Here's your applause. It's like 1:15 in the morning. There's also some general features that most of these games have that help with learning. A malleable training mode, a replay system where you can watch your previous matches, and combo trials. Extra points if they're really hard, so they cause the FGC to fight amongst itself for a week. Fun fact, did you know that if a content creator says something is bad, people will believe them? Crazy, I know, right? There is a problem with these combo trials, though. Most of these combos become pretty outdated pretty quickly, or aren't even that good to begin with. For the majority of games, this means you have to go to external sources to learn your bread and butter combos, and if you want to find optimal combos, good luck. However, recently, Guilty Gear Strive has added a feature where people are able to create and upload combos for other people to play as combo trials, meaning that you can find whatever combo you're looking for, from basic day one combos to your bread and butters to this is fucking crazy, let's go! While Strive's tutorial is kinda mid, this feature's sick, but not sick enough to bump it into the next tier, unfortunately.
God, it's beautiful!
Welcome to the small section of games that actually do a good job at teaching their players how to play them, some in actually effective ways. But what do you need to have in your tutorials and learning tools in order to be considered actually good? Well, along with teaching the player the basic components of the game, along with your unique mechanics, you have to teach them things that will actually help them against other players in a match. Schoolgirls has several things like this, from teaching you your basic combo theory, how to make combo breakers, how to make sure they never occur in the first place, how to identify which way you should be blocking, how to deal with command grabs. Lots of useful things to know in any fighting game, and it's just all there. Unist has this and goes even further by adding in-depth combo trials for every character, which are even optimal for some characters, along with a basic guide on what to do with the character with helpful tips like your pressure tools, your archetype, and where you should probably stand. If you want to go even further, you could do what Guilty Gear XR did and have tutorials on how to deal with any character in the game. They literally made a section of the game where you can go and find out how to beat that motherfucker who keeps mixing you up without having to leave the game. Each of these games do tutorials really well and offer tools that assist with the learning experience, but they have the flaw of, a lot of text. Plus, XR can feel like an information overload, so this feature is generally best reserved for when you know who you're fighting and when you know you're going to be fighting a specific character. If you want to see the peak of this type of tutorial, then Virtua Fighter 4 is easily the best standard any fighting game tutorial ever made. It not only teaches you how to play Virtua Fighter, but teaches you techniques that you can use in basically any 3D fighting game, and even tips and tricks that will help you in neutral with 2D games. I would be showing footage of it here, but I don't own the game, so... There is a game that has something better though. It's generally said that the best games in any genre are able to teach players how to play their games without telling them what to do. No pop-ups or large text walls, just pure gameplay. This is impossible for a fighting game though, right? Wrong, stupid, idiot, dumb, idiot, silly, dumb, idiot. Them's fighting herds. Might look like a My Little Pony reject fighting game, which it kind of is, but let's not get into that. But under the surface is not only an extremely well-made fighting game, but also the best tutorial in any fighting game I've ever seen. The single-player mode in this game is able to not only teach you how to play the game, but also gives you tips on how to get better at every other fighting game, but shows you directly how to beat some of the most annoying strategies you'll find in fighting games. And it's not handhold, it's fun. It's good. It has a boss battle that teaches you how to deal with zoners. It's crazy. Trust me, the pony game is cracked. Just try it. Alright, that's the video. I made this in like half a day, so if you want to reward me for that, go follow my Twitch and sub to my Patreon. Okay, bye. I'm gonna go to sleep now.